This is how to repair your wheels in roughly 5 minutes on a budget. This wheel is off my 2003 Mark II Mazda MX-5, which is part of my Trading Up series, and if you want to know what that is, click up here. It's a series where I started off with a £200 Ford Focus, and hopefully one day I'll end up with a £15,000 BMW E46 M3. That's if inflation doesn't get in the way. Anyway, this wheel is off that car, and what I thought I'd do is make a quick little video about how to repair these wheels when they have light curb damage and a bit of rash, which generally can be caused by absolute accident, or if you're unlucky, you can lend the car to the missus or the wife, and it comes back curbed, she won't admit it to you, you find out a few days later, and you're quite cheesed off. So, this is how you repair it on a budget, without calling in the professionals, to get an average result. Let's take a bit of a closer look at this wheel. Obviously you can see right on the edge, there's some horrible scoring, and it does near enough transfer all the way around the edge of the wheel, which is quite bad news because we're going to have to sand this down, and some of the gouges are actually quite thick. But don't worry, this can all be sorted with a light sand. But what I'm going to do to attack the protruding edges is get my Dremel with a little 100 grit sanding disc, and I'm just going to lightly touch it on to take the edge until it's finger smooth, and once it's finger smooth, I'm then going to sand it down by hand, starting with a 1000 grit sandpaper, working up to about a 2000 grit, and then we're going to put a skim of fill around this, let that go off, sand it back, and then we should be ready for painting. I am actually in two minds whether I'm just going to paint the full wheel, because with these being fake imitation split rims, the lacquer's started to peel on the inside and it is starting to annoy me, but you never know, I might just touch it up. I'll come to that decision later on in this video.
When using the Dremel, you need to be gentle so that you don't sand too deep. You only really want to be taking off the proud edges. If you do go too deep, you're going to need to use more filler. And the more filler you use, the more chance you have of it cracking further down the line. So it's important that we're very careful here.
Now to me, that is nice and smooth to touch with a finger. Don't get me wrong, still a few divots in there, but we can sort all that out with filler. Right now, I'm going to move on to a hand sand all the way around, get it nice and smooth and like, you know, not as contoured and divoty as that. Once that's done, bit of panel wipe, and onto the filler.
Now that the jagged edges are removed by the Dremel, it's time to work through the sandpapers all the way up to 1000 grit. Then it's time to crack open the filler and spread a bit of love.
Now the key to this filler stuff is to get it on fast and thick, because believe me, it dries so quick. I didn't mean to rhyme there, but it just did. So you need to get it on really quick, because in about 2 or 3 minutes this will be rock hard and I won't be able to do anything with it. So it can be quite difficult, especially when you've got to go all the way around the edge. You don't want to leave it on too long, because when it dries, it's really difficult to get off. But you'll get the gist. Just keep applying it and wiping as you go. Nice even spread all the way around, which should make it easier for sanding, because we don't want low spots and high spots if we can avoid it. I want to try and keep it off this rim as well on the outside, because that's where the tyre seals to the wheel. So I don't want anything protruding there. Nearly all the way around here. It's actually getting quite thick, this filler now, and unworkable. That's how hard that's gone, and that was real time putting it on. And what we're talking there, a minute and a half. And look at how hard that stuff's gone already. So you've got to be quick. Anyway, time to let this dry, and then we'll come back and sand it and get it all looking smooth and pucker.
Once you've applied the filler and let it go hard, things do start to look a lot worse before they get better. But don't worry, you can always remove the filler using sandpaper and a Dremel. And I must admit, the filler does smell amazing. First, I start with a 400 grit sandpaper to remove the jagged edges. And to save on elbow grease, I used a 400 grit paper on the Dremel as well. I then gradually work my way up to a 1000 grit sandpaper, which leaves a lovely smooth finish.
What you'd normally do with something like this, especially when you're repairing body work on a car, is you would spray like a black spray on or something dark to highlight the low spots and the high spots. And what that basically does is you spray it on black over the filled area. If it sands off and the paint disappears, you know you've got a high spot. If the paint remains, you know you've got a low spot, and you can sand it, add filler, and try and get to where you need to be. Now with these being wheels, you're never really going to be looking at them like this, unless obviously you're cleaning the car. And the fact that I'm going to be selling this car very soon, I'm not really bothered about the outcome. I just didn't want a big curb rash all the way around it. And to be fair, it feels smooth. It looks straight when you look down the wheel. That's all I'm bothered about. So with that said, on with more sanding.
But while sanding these wheels, I discovered a problem.
I actually have a bit of a dilemma in getting this colour matched on these wheels. The problem is these wheels are diamond cut, they then go through an anodization process and then they get sprayed with lacquer, leaving this lovely, like not glittery, but pearlescent, you know, sort of shiny finish on the wheel. And it isn't actually paint, meaning that I can't get the colour matched. So if I want to keep them gold, I'm gonna have to spray the full wheel. And before anyone says in the comments, why don't you just mask a lip and spray up to a lip and hopefully the reflections will hide the gold? It really won't. I've tried 2 different colour golds and you'll see now, you can just tell a mile off. It isn't gonna be the same. So I'm gonna mask the center of this wheel because I still want that black. I'm gonna spray everything gold, but it does leave one dilemma that these fake split rim studs, they're too difficult to mask, so they're going to have to get sprayed gold, and I'm just going to have to live with it because we are refurbing these on a budget. And don't get me wrong, I could spend a lot of money sending these off to be shot blasted, powder coated and anodized or diamond cut, and it just doesn't cut it. The whole purpose of this video is how to restore and paint your wheels on a budget, and that is exactly what this is. So let's get this masked, let's get the rest of it rubbed down, get it cleaned, get it sprayed, and you'll see the outcome hopefully where they do look better, they just don't look anodized.
The key to any painting task is preparation. And although that can seem boring or tiresome, it really is worth investing your time into this stage. The better the preparation, the better the finish. But like anything, practice makes perfect. So if this is your first time painting wheels, don't expect a flawless finish, be proud that you gave it a go. And once the prep is complete, it's time to give the wheels a coat of etch primer. Then once it's dried, 2 coats of colour, followed by plenty of lacquer.
With the masking tape removed and a fresh set of tyres, these wheels are finally complete and ready to go on the Mazda MX-5, and I can't wait to see what they look like because before they were rather tatty and it was seriously bugging me. Don't get me wrong, this isn't the best finish you're going to get because we're not in the most perfect conditions, and we simply did it on a budget, and hopefully it gives you guys a bit of pointers and the confidence to tackle refurbishing your own wheels. In the meantime guys, I am raising money for brain tumour research, and if you want to get involved, you have the chance of winning a toolbox that is absolutely filled with tools. Link is in the description. If you can support that, it would be much appreciated. But for now, I will see you all very soon, and make sure you do everything in style.